So the one thing I kind of say, I'm a OG, and so, we're gonna our show is third generation, fourth generation. You're fourth, I'm third generation Cowboys too. So we talk about the underwear Olympics. They have underwear Olympics for coaches too. So I
Yeah.
was telling you that everything sounds good. On April 5th, all these coaches. I think McCarthy sounded the same way. So I
Yeah.
really I'm encouraged by what we're hearing from Shadi. I think, like I said before, if you had told me 10 years ago, if I could have chosen between Jason Garrett and Shadi, I would have chose Shadi every day of the week and twice on Sunday because he just has that pedigree, that background. I mentioned to you back in the day in the '90s, the NFC was dominant, especially the
Mm-hmm.
NFC East with the dominant defensive and offensive lines.
Mm-hmm.
The AFC, they were more like a finesse lead. They didn't win it. The AFC went like 24, 25 years in a row without winning the Super Bowl. The NFC won like 25 straight. That's
Yeah.
a fact. And but the only AFC teams that played that kind of football, like the Cowboys, the Giants, and the Redskins at the time, the Packers came later, was the Cleveland Browns and the Kansas City Chiefs, coached by Marty Schottenheimer. So they played that physical NFC brand of football. So, he has that in his background. He knows what to do. So now he just kind of got to put all the pieces of the puzzle together. And it's going to be interesting too, when he calls plays for the first few games. Just that's going to be interesting to watch. And so that's when the rubber's going to meet the road and we're going to kind of see. But we're going to give him time too. We're not going to
Mm-hmm.
know what we're working with after the first few weeks. We got to give him some time. Now, you got to win games, but we're just gonna
Yeah.
kind of see how it goes. So the people that's coming in, give them a shout out.
Shout out to Shanna. Shout out to Uncle Keith. Shout out to Keystone. Shout out to everybody that's coming in and supporting. We appreciate y'all. Now, look, he said that I believe Shotty will open up the offense more than Mike McCarthy. Of course, I think so too. But also, this is what now that just adds to my next segue to my next point. My next point was going to be that you got to remember that Dak and Shotty are the reason why Shotty got this job because Dak was the one that wanted Shotty. You know what I mean? And we got to also remember that last year, Dak and Shotty and CD were telling Mike McCarthy that they wanted to open up the offense more, and Mike McCarthy pushed back.
Add some more plays.
They wanted to add some more plays. CD said they want to add they want to add plays that they see other teams doing that's successful that they know that they can be successful with as well. They wanted to add that. And so people forgetting CD was very vocal last year. When they was losing, when
But
people
then Dak was too.
and Dak, I was about to say, and Dak was too. You know, they wasn't hiding anything. Dak was on the sideline. He said we effing suck. He was talking to somebody, I forgot. But it wasn't like they wasn't, they was clearly not on the same page with McCarthy. So
No.
this wasn't no this is so but what I'm saying is that Dak and Shadi are gonna run the offense and CD too. That's what I think.
And
I think
yeah, and
that
I
I
think they're gonna
think.
get a lot of input from Clayton Adams and the
Mhm.
uh, the coach from K State. I gotta look up all of these people's names because we kind of losing track of who's what. But the offensive line coach from K State, Clayton
Mhm.
Adams, they're gonna work on the offense together. But yeah, Shotty's gonna have probably the final say in what they're doing.
And I think that that's gonna work. I think that Dak and Shot is gonna work. My only worry is that Dak get hurt. That's my only worry. It's because it's just reminiscent of Tony Romo's last year's. You know, the same exact thing happened with Tony Romo. In his ninth year, he had a season-ending injury, and then the next year in the preseason, he fractures his tailbone. But they drafted Zeke to partner with him. Just like I feel like we gonna draft a receiver and a running back to relieve Dak, and Dak, I just feel like that's what we doing it all over again. So we don't have a Dak on our roster right now, and I don't think it's Joe Milton. That's why I want them to get a a backup quarterback that's really good, you know, um, that we can take to the next level, go to the next level with, just in case, you know. I really hope, you know, they find one, because it's really like, this is not that deep of a quarterback uh draft, but you got people like Quinn Ewers, Riley Leonard, they gonna be out there. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
maybe if you get one of them, maybe you have
So,
a upside factor.
Connor Riley is the offensive line coach from
Connor Riley,
K
yeah,
State.
K State.
I really think, and like I said, one of the things that's fun about our show, we don't 100% agree on everything, which is kind of the fun part, the third and fourth generation. So, you really like Jalen Milrow. You like him,
Yeah,
more than I do. I think that's off the table. I also think with them bringing in Joe Milton, I just don't see them drafting a quarterback. I know I had a couple of other concrete creators. I was actually listening to one tonight. He said the same thing you said, that he was one of the content creator OGs. He said he would still try to draft a quarterback. I don't think they will,
but
but
see, but my pushback on that is, well, them trading for Joe Milton was the equivalent of them adding them running backs. It ain't really nothing. It's really
mm,
like, you know what I mean? Like,
I think it's a better situation than the running backs.
well, I mean, they about the same. They about the same. If they you know, they only right now they only gonna see the field if the starters get hurt.
Yeah, I just think that I think Joe Milton, from like an investment standpoint, I just think he has the tools and the talent. He just needs the coaching. But I mean, I think he's somebody that, look, I think it was a good signing. I think it was more than just bringing in a guy, and I think he's gonna look. I will say this: if I mentioned this before, the backup quarterback, people will say, well, if Dak gets hurt, your season is over. But what I keep saying is, what if Dak just misses 4 games? What if he misses 5 games? We just need somebody that can go in and do what Cooper Rush did. Cooper Rush was very effective. I think Cooper Rush was probably like, what was he like, 10-2? He had a hell of a record.
Yeah, he did.
We just need somebody to do that. But this guy is just has more talent, and
Hmm.
so
Yeah, this is true.
we'll see. But yeah, I think I really like the signing.
Yeah, me too. I like him. Miles said he watching on Facebook.
Okay, what's
Uh,
up, Miles?
so yeah, I like the signing, but like I said, that would not deter me from taking, you know, like me, you know, I struggle with the BPA, taking the best player available, and then picking players that I want. You know, I usually go BPA in the first round, and then I after that I go get who I want. And
Oh, and
so,
I was trying to Will Greer. I
hmm
mean, don't count him out as being the backup, and I think he'll be effective. I mean, I really when the competition was between Will Greer and Cooper Rush, I actually thought Will Greer was going to win that,
me
and
too.
he was highly touted coming out of high school. So
Hmm.
look, yeah, Joe Milton's going to compete with him initially for the backup quarterback, and I think Will Greer could win some games too. And he's mobile. He's not somebody also that's going to just stand back there.
Hmm.
And he's the same way. He's going to put the ball in some bad places.
Hmm.
He's probably more accurate than Joe Milton at this point, but he's been around the league. This is probably his fifth or sixth year. So I think I like our backup quarterback situation in case something does happen with that.
Yeah, me too. I just want to draft for the future while we drafting this high, and we can use it to our benefit. Because you drafting this
Yeah.
high, you can trade back in some scenarios, you know.
I think
And
your guy, I think Jalen Milrow,
hmm
I believe he's going to sneak into the first round or the very top of the second round. So I just don't think realistically the Dallas is gonna pull the trigger because we just have so many needs. Like I told you, if they had an extra third or extra two,
hmm
I would be down with that. And shout out to Vach. That's exactly what he said on this show tonight. That if he had a shot to take Jalen Milrow, he would do it. But I just think that. I think Jalen Milroe. I think it's gonna be some prizes on draft day. He
Mm-hmm.
might be one. I think somebody's gonna move up and take him
Mm-hmm.
because
The
he
Steelers,
or the Raiders.
the Raiders,
The Steelers are a rumor.
the Giants.
The Giants at the top of the second round. You just
Mm-hmm.
see where they drafting, but look, somebody
I mean, they're gonna be dangerous if they take whoever they get with their top five pick, and then they turn back around. If they take Jalen Milroe, they gonna be dangerous. Just think,
now I'm hearing today. I've been hearing in the last couple of days that the Giants are maybe circling back to Shador.
oh my god, that's gonna be dangerous too. That's gonna be dangerous if they do
And
that.
see, that's the difference between me and you on our generation of Cowboy fandom. You, when you see those teams like the Commanders and the Eagles and the Giants, that competition, it kind of has you kind of like, man, you don't. But me, I'm old school NFC East. That's the way it was back in the day. So I just say, bring it on. We gonna build our team, and let's just play.
Well, I'm just so used to beating them, but
Yeah.
the
Well,
thing, I'm just so used to beating them at all times. But because Dak is like, I don't know, he got an astronomical record in the NFC East. But the thing is, it's just like, we been for so long been needing that little extra piece to get over the hump, and it seemed like every year we miss whatever it is to get over the hump and win that first, second game of the playoff. And now these other teams in the NFC East keep on being bad, getting high picks, and rebuilding and
um,
passing us.
but that's old school NFC East, and also keep in mind that if the Commanders and the Eagles and the Giants just keep putting good teams together, that's gonna force Steve and Jerry and Will McClay to step their game up.
And see another thing too. Uh, Keith said Shador was workout was okay. Another thing today, I mean another thing that I've been looking at too is that the Cowboys, Will McClay, Steven and Jerry, they need to stop building our teams to beat the NFC East. That's what they do. I feel like they build our teams to beat the NFC East. If the NFC East, I mean, if the Giants or the Eagles get a top receiver, they go get a top corner. Where if the Giants
Yeah,
get a top running back, they go get a top defensive tackle. It's just like
yeah.
they try to
And
do that.
nobody does that. That's why you don't have any NFC championship
It
games in
is. It
30 years.
is.
And Brian Broaddus has said that too, by the way. Shout out to Broaddus. But yeah, that's
That's what they
nobody
do.
does that.
And that's
You
and that's
know,
why they can beat that's why they beat 10-2 in the division and lose in the first round.
and you know what? I'm gonna push back on all of that because the Cowboys they do things so just goofy that people have to come up with all these theories on what they're doing. Like we're trying to build our team to beat the NFC East just because you don't have nothing else to hang your hat on. But
That's what they do.
that's dumb.
It is dumb, but that's what they do.
Yeah,
I mean, they got to get away from that. They got to just take the best player available and build their team to beat other
because
teams.
that's exactly what the Eagles are doing. The Eagles just building a football team.
Right.
They building a Death Star is what I call it.
It's just like this. Why? How come? Like it makes no sense that all these other teams with our makeup run the Shanahan offense to perfection, and we don't. That's
Well,
crazy to me. When you see the league going in a certain direction, and
but
you
you
got
gotta
CDs, you got guys like CD, you got guys like uh that, you got
well,
guys, and they can do
you
that
got
better than them.
but
Somebody
you
we're
gotta
getting left
remember
behind while
too.
the rest of our conferences in the future. Miles said, "Seems like we're getting left behind while the rest of our conference is in the future."
Yeah, they building the teams the right way. What the
Mm-hmm.
Eagles are doing, they're doing the same thing that the Ravens do, the
Mm-hmm.
Chiefs do, the 49ers do, and the Giants and the Commanders are going to catch up. But that's kind of been our downfall. They don't have a even with the offense. What I was gonna say is the West Coast offense.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a really dominant way to run your offense. It works, but you also got other people like the coach that Detroit hired. His name escapes me. What's his name? They just hired him
Ben
from Ben Johnson.
Yeah.
He wasn't running the West Coast offense, but his offense was good.
Yeah.
And we saw a little bit of that with the Commanders last year with Cliff Kingsbury. So, but yeah, that offense is
Mhm.
is a great way to go. But also, you can do your thing, and then keep in mind, Brian Schottenheimer, Shoddy,
Mhm.
and McCarthy, they were just running their version of that offense. They were not
Correct.
running the same offense. So,
Yeah, but what they did was they were running their version of that offense, but they took the key elements that make it work out, like the
well,
motion and
well,
like
they did.
the
What I would say is they just. Well, I would say they. It's not actually they. It was McCarthy. Well,
Mhm.
McCarthy did we just took the bare bones of the offense and used that. He didn't really want to innovate and update it, which is what Schottenheimer wanted to do. That's what McVay has done. O'Connell with the Vikings, but you
Mhm.
see your guy down in Miami that everybody likes that I don't really like. Uh, I call him Professor X or whatever.
Uh, uh,
Uh,
Mike McDonald,
Mike McDaniel.
Mike McDaniel.
But yeah, so McCarthy, no, he
He's a
was.
genius.
So if it was a Ford car,
Mhm.
McCarthy was running the what was the car that Lauren had?
The
He,
Ford
it was
Focus,
it was a Ford Focus. So McCarthy had the Ford Focus version of the West Coast offense. These other guys are running the Mustang version,
the 5.0s,
the
the Mustang.
5.0, the uh,
Mhm.
the Camaro Z28.
It's a
All of those are
Chevy.
Ford.
That's a
All of those are
Chevy.
Ford. That's a Chevy, but
No, yes, a Chevy. Yeah.
it's all the GM car, But
Right.
that's what McCarthy was doing. But so now Brian Schottenheimer,
Mhm.
we're gonna have to just kind of see, is he gonna be like his Ben Johnson guy? Is he gonna do a little bit of the McVay, a little bit of O'Connell? So that's the thing that we're gonna have to kind of figure out.
Yeah, and I think that, like I said, man, these young guys like Micah, these young guys like CD, that's who runs the league now. That's who determines what your offense is gonna be doing. So like Dak is super smart. So he might not be like the as far as like talent wise, like Dak can't run a
Well,
fofo or nothing like that.
well,
You know
Dak
what I'm
should be
saying?
where Romo was at the tail end of his career,
He is,
where
and
Romo had just mastered the game.
he is there. And the thing about it is, but see, my only problem is that it don't be Dak. It be other problems that we be having. They be getting Dak. Like for instance, like Dak is at that level, but but if Tyler Guyton is getting smoked,
Yeah,
then it's gonna make Dak look bad. Or Dak could be at that level, but if Brandon is running slants and he can't get open and he ain't get no
yeah.
separation, then it's gonna Dak can't get up out the pocket like he used to.
If
So
you
it's
don't
like
have no running game,
if you don't have no running game, then just remember that game when we played Detroit. It's just like, okay, guys, on that first drive when they went down and crammed it down our throats, and McCarthy kept on deferring, which was just like, why are you
yeah.
doing this? And
Well, the
that
thing
our
about the
offense,
the thing about the Detroit game that was so alarming is we had an entire year to prepare for that game. We knew what they were going to come in and do
not
because of
this
what
year.
it
I'm
had.
talking about last year,
You talking about the last year, this past season?
the one before that.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah,
So the one
yeah,
before that, so 2 years ago when we played Detroit. So at the beginning of the game, we went down 7-0. They went down and scored in like 2 plays, 3 plays. McCarthy kept deferring when we know that should not he shouldn't have been doing that. So, anyways, but and then on our first play, Dak got smoked, and then like again he got smoked again, and it was like 3rd and 20. We was like on the 2 yard line, remember? and like we needed everybody to somebody to get us out of this. And Dak threw a bomb to CD. You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? And he scored.
Now
And
in
then
that game, the one you're talking about, we really dominated them. We had that game put away. I
we
was talking
did.
about last year's game.
No, the reason why I was talking about the game when we dominated them is I was talking about all cylinders. CD when the receivers was playing good, Jake Ferguson was playing good, Tony
Yeah,
Pollard was playing good, the line was playing good, everybody was playing good, and we dominated. And that's how pretty much how we did that whole season. That's why it was such a catastrophic blow when we lost to Green Bay because we just knew we was gonna dominate them. because we had been dominating everybody all season. Nobody could stop CD and Dak. It just was not happening. And the moment that you try to double CD, Tony Pollard will hit you for 90 yards. So it's just like, you know, um, Dak needs everything in order to look good. When
Yeah,
everybody else look good, he gonna look good.
yeah,
And then he might have, you know, I give him like 20%, 15% of the season where he just make bonehead the plays where he be like deer in the headlights. But
yeah.
that's not all the time.
And
It's just
Mahomes
like
has games like that,
all
but
quarterbacks do
he has a defense that
can
keeps
step up.
him afloat. So that's but yeah, that's what Dak need. Dak needs a defense that can hold a fort, and he
But
needs
see,
a couple of more receivers. He needs to take.
this is
I
my
think he needs
question.
another tight end as well.
This is my question. How come it's taking them this long to understand that the focus should be on offense?
I mean,
Why
that's
they just now talking about they need a receiver and a running back? Because like for the last 4 or 5 years, they have been building the defense. So there was an article that came out today where it said the top five best drafting teams on offense and the top five best drafting teams on defense and the worst five on offense and defense. Where you think the Cowboys was?
what they were in both on that.
Uh, for offense, were they in the top five best draft for the last? We talking about first round draft picks. Were they in the top five for best draft or low five on offense?
What did it say?
They was in the top five on both. They was number one on defense. With our first round picks for the last 4 or 5 years, we number one. With Micah, Mozzie, and who else was our number one defense?
And number one in terms of what? How many picks they've invested, or the way the players are playing?
The way the players are playing. Who has the best? Who has the
Well,
best
Mozzie
draft?
wouldn't be on there.
He was.
Man, I don't
Well,
know.
well, he was he was in the years. So they did like the last 5 years. So they just did the last 5 years. They did the defensive players for the last 5 years in the first round, and they just compared it to every other team. And so when
But
you
see,
compare
yeah,
Mozzie and Micah and whoever else to the rest of the other teams, then it was Mozzie and Micah. I guess because Micah put him over the top so much, just like how on offense we was number three best draft because CD put everybody over the top so much. So I'm
yeah.
saying, but the
I think
Bengals was
I
number
see
one.
someone posted Tyler Smith. Who is that
Yeah, Tyler Smith.
in the chat?
Oh, Miles.
Oh, hey, Miles. Yeah. So yeah,
So they was in the offense. So
if you just
Tyler
look at
Smith.
some of
Mm-hmm.
the players that we drafted, I agree with that. You got Micah, you got Tyler Smith.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that
Like Tyler Smith. We was number three. The Bengals was number one. We was tied number two. We was tied for the second and third slot.
what's that
W-
shadow on the bottom and right of the screen, or is that me?
Shadow on the bottom right of the screen. That's you. I don't see nothing.
Okay, but
But
yeah,
yeah, it was like yeah, that's what it was. It was like Tyler Smith, CD. They're all pros. So You know, what the Cowboys need to just do is they need to just draft good for the whole entire draft. Because after the first round, it's like they get lost, and they
yeah.
got lost last year. They got lost with Mozzie. So you know, it just is what it is. I feel like I feel like Shoddy is gonna turn over, helping them turn over a new leaf. I think that they are embarrassed. I think that they really want to change up some things and do some things right. That's what I think. I think they want to do some things different.
So it's some rumors that they still are going to try to make a move for another receiver, and the names that I was hearing was it Traylon Burks,
Yep.
which I don't like. We heard Calvin Ridley,
Mm-hmm.
of course your guy, Tyreek Hill,
Mm-hmm.
and then you like Tyreek Hill and Cortland Sutton.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you're more high on Sutton than I am.
And the reason why I like these guys is because I play fantasy every year, and Cortland Sutton was one of the main reasons why I won my fantasy this year, and Tyreek Hill was the main reason that I got second place last year. They balled out. Cortland Sutton was my second wide receiver, and I won the whole thing because of him, because he was putting up numbers every week. Every week, I
Yeah.
guarantee. Every week,
So
every week he
if
scored a
you
touchdown.
so Kevin, if I had a choice,
Miles,
oh that's Miles. Miles, if I had a choice, I would rather have Ted than Cortland Sutton.
but they, I mean, but that's you can't you can't compare those two people.
I'm not comparing them.
Well, you wouldn't trading for Cortland Sutton shouldn't remove you from drafting Ted.
Oh, if like I said earlier, if they trade for Cortland Sutton, they are not taking a receiver. If they I don't
I
think they're
don't
gonna
know
go
why.
draft
Why?
quarterback because that's what Dallas does. They're just not.
Yeah. Well, no. If you ask me who was the best, oh, did the computer die? I think the computer died. That's what happened. So uh if you ask me who was better out of the Ted and Cortland Sutton, I would say Cortland Sutton is better, but I would rather have Ted for the long run because Ted is uh for the long run. So I would rather have Ted, but I would rather have them both. I would rather just trade for sign Cortland Sutton and then trade for Ted. I mean, and then draft Ted or any other wide receiver that's up in the top. Luther Burden, Egbuka, uh, and still trade for Cortland Sutton or Tyreek. If we had Tyreek Hill and Ted, that would be amazing. We would have the best wide receiver tandem in the league. If they got any of the top five receivers, Egbuka, Luther, Ted, even Jalen Royals and all of them. If we had them plus like Cortland Sutton or Tyreek or I don't know about Calvin Ridley, but one of them, we would still be like cooking with hot grease. Like they would be straight. So we probably been on for like 45 minutes. I know what happened. The computer died. So my dad, he clocked out. So I'm gonna wrap up and we're gonna be on tomorrow live. We wasn't even gonna go live today, but we decided to go live even though it was late. So we appreciate everybody for logging on. All my family, all my friends, I see y'all out there. Shout out to you, Miles. Shout out to my Uncle Squeak. Shout out to Keystone. Shout out to Shanna. Everybody that logged in. We appreciate y'all. We getting ready and we ramping up because we just been getting in the flow of things and getting the YouTube game down. But I'm about to start putting out like edited videos and different kind of projects on our channel and we about to get everything going. We live on Twitch right now. We live on uh uh Twitter. We live on we not live on Twitter. We live on Facebook, YouTube, and then my dad. All right. So you got back on your phone.
Yeah, I'm trying to get back on.
No, you on right now, so you good. I was wrapping up. But the laptop died, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what that shadow was. So, but anyways, yeah, so we're live on YouTube, we live on Facebook, we live on TikTok. So, yeah, we're gonna be putting out a lot of more things and and we're gonna be doing videos with people as well. Well, like I can't see you. You got the laptop is blocking you. You hear
Okay.
me?
Well, yeah, I can hear you. Well, I think it's
So
just my
yeah.
phone. I got to figure out how to get it back on. But we're good. You can hear me. We can go ahead and wrap.
Okay,
You
so yeah,
thanking people
so
for joining?
yeah, I did. And so I did. And then we got we're gonna be doing like a like round table discussions too, where we bring people on that like we gonna post a link in the chat. And so Miles, y'all will be able to get on Keystone, y'all will be able to get on with us and discuss and talk about this stuff. As the draft come, we got 20 days to the draft, y'all. So we gonna do a live stream on draft night too. It's probably when we do a round table where we can all be on here and we can do our reactions because it's gonna be a long night that night because it's gonna be a lot of people that's gonna be either happy or upset with the picks that they make. So I
And
think
you
it's
can
gonna
see
be
me now.
interesting. Yeah, we will see you the whole time.
Okay, but so tomorrow we need to figure out what time we're gonna go live. Cause I gotta. Do we know what time Houston is playing?
Uh,
Let me look at
let's
the schedule.
see. Let me see. Anybody know
Cause
what time Houston playing? Put it in chat. I hate the Bleacher Report update. It's just they just ruin the the application, the app. It's just so messed up. Let's see. Houston plays tomorrow
We just need to know the
at.
time.
Oh my God. Let me see. Let's see. NCAA. Boy, this is crazy. NCAA. I I don't know what's going on.
Houston is playing the late game.
So
That's gonna be the best game. So we're gonna have to go live before Houston plays. And I don't know if this is Central Time. It probably is. So
they play at 7:49 tomorrow. And let me see. That's Central. I don't. It doesn't say Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, it says all time zone are in Central. So they play tomorrow at 7:49. So we're gonna have to
we'll
go
probably
live.
we need to do like 6:30 to 7:30.
All right, that's cool. So we'll be on from 6:30 to 7:30 tomorrow, and kind of go over whatever news we got, and we kind of go over the Final Four game in Florida and Auburn, and getting ready for Houston versus Duke. Everybody know we pulling for Houston. Uh,
I think
so
Texas Tech was the
better team.
yeah, they I think they could have won the whole thing. Of course, Duke was going to be a tough out either way, but I think uh, Texas Tech could have beat them. Houston, they're going to have to play the best game they played all year. Now defensively, they play good defense, but I don't know if they're going to be able to keep up with Duke scoring wise. I mean, it's possible. We'll see.
Hmm.
But I really hated Texas Tech. Charles Barkley was like, when Texas Tech lost, he was so disappointed because he knew, they really had a good chance to win it. And
They did,
they,
man. They did,
yeah,
and I just when that dude hit that first three, all right, I changed the game. I ain't
yeah,
want to watch
then
no
they let
more.
him hit four in a row.
Yeah, when he hit the first one, I was like, "Oh no!" I seen it all over their faces, and I changed it after that. I started doing something else. I ain't even go check and
The
see.
coach should have adjusted defense and he should have called timeout.
Yep.
Well, and just kind of stopped the run. But that's kind of
How
and
this go?
that's like the if I'm not mistaken, this is Texas Tech's third time like being right there.
Yeah.
And so they got a good program. So we like to see all of the Texas teams.
Mm-hmm.
We pull for all of the Texas teams when they in
Except the
the
Rockets. No, 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 no. We pull for the Rockets if they win it all, but we don't do. We don't except the Astros.
yeah, we're not big Astros fans, but yeah, I'd rather see the Astros win it than like the Yankees.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. But I like
hmm
all of the Texas teams. Even though they are rivals in our conferences, like the Spurs, I like the Spurs and the Rockets. Now when they playing against the Mavericks, I don't. But if they not, but if they
hmm
playing against somebody else, I'm rooting for them. But yeah. So we'll see y'all on the next one tomorrow. We're gonna be on from 6:30, 7:30 Central. So we'll see y'all. And like I said, any news that breaks, we're gonna be monitoring the news. Michael still ain't signed. He
Yeah,
won't
we'll
be
talk
signed
about
until
tomorrow. We can talk about some of the stuff with the contracts and stuff like that.
yeah, we'll talk about the contracts tomorrow. We'll talk about the contracts and what's going on and what we can expect. Tyler Smith contract, Deron Bland,